Good afternoon, everyone. This is John Cappello calling today, broadcasting from North Texas here on the A1R Psychic Radio Network, Moonstruck TV. And we're delighted to have you here on the psychic side. And today we're going to have a guest on the telephone, or we're going to try to. We're having some technical difficulties today, but we're delighted to have a guest. But before we do, I just want to welcome any of our new listeners or new people watching us on Moonstruck TV to our program. The Psychic Radio Network is the #1 psychic radio network on Earth, and we're pleased to present our programming to you today. We talk about things that debunk the skeptics because a lot of people don't think psychic ability exists, and we try to prove it every time where we are either on the air or giving a reading or doing something in public. So we hope that you will tap into your psychic abilities. And I bring guests on who have done just that. They tap into their abilities. And today we have a gentleman by the name of Raymond Guzman. He's from the Corpus Christi area in Texas. And so I hope he's there. Raymond, are you there?
Hi, John, and hello, everyone, and thank you for having me on here. I am so excited and grateful for this opportunity to be on your show.
Well, you're very welcome. I wish we could see you, but sometimes technology doesn't cooperate, and so we'll just have to deal with it, and we'll have to have you back because I don't think you're ugly, but
Absolutely, yeah. I don't understand it so well, but I think we had some technical difficulties, but we'll fix them.
We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. Maybe we'll do a test run beforehand, but I know you're new to Skype. So, but welcome to our program. I met you at Indigo Moons in Houston a few months ago, and I've been trying to get you to be on our program, and just one thing has led to another. And I know you've been busy too. But thank you for joining us. And when I saw you in Houston, it said you were a celebrity psychic. Can you tell us a little bit about that and tell us a little bit about your work?
Absolutely. It all started a couple of years ago when I decided to embark on my spiritual journey. I had a spiritual awakening as well as a near-death experience. And I kind of, at the time, I knew that I had this gift since I was a child. But after my near-death experience, I had a heart attack. For those of you that are wondering, like, what kind of NDE or what kind of near-death experience I had, it propelled me into this career. And so I always say I didn't choose mediumship and psychic work. It chose me. And I understood that I had a gift to help people after my NDE. It's like we have this reckoning, so to speak, that everything becomes very clear. And I actually have a business degree in business administration. So I went to college and I worked in the corporate world for a long time. And then again, after the NDE, I realized that this was all happening. So how I came about reading celebrities and everyday people was that I decided to take my gift to the airwaves, to kind of like what you do with this radio network. I decided I wanted a social media platform. I wanted to show people and showcase my abilities and make predictions and give psychic insight into the lives of celebrities because they're kind of like just like these. There's this salacious. I don't know if that's even the right word. There's this intrigue that fans have and people have of their favorite celebrities and stars. So what I did is just like I would do in a private session, except for it's a little bit more tactful because I can't share certain specific things on air since it's not like I'm having a one-on-one with the celebrities. I decided to do like a reading like I would do in a private setting, giving insight about the celebrities and what I see, again, being very ethical and tactful as possible, with the person that I'm reading. And then from that, I kind of started posting that on my YouTube channel. It grew and the following grew. And then I have my fan base, which I call my Rays of Light. They're like my soul family that I've created. And so they've been very supportive throughout this whole journey in the last couple of years. But some of the celebrities that I've read for is Megan King Edmonds from The Real Housewives of Orange County, Rachel True from The Craft, the 1995 Craft, not the new remake. And then, a couple of others along the way. But Yeah, that's how it came about, and so some of these people, when I read for them, they became friends or they reached out personally as a client for a private reading, etc. So it's opened up. My gift has opened up a lot of doorways for me, and I'm very grateful to God first and foremost, to Spirit, the universe, the divine power, whatever you want to call it. Um, because without Spirit, without them, this couldn't be possible. I'm just a messenger or just a vessel. So I'm very grateful for this.
Well, that's wonderful. I have a business degree too, and I kind of got into it kind of kicking and screaming. I didn't have a near death
Did you?
experience, but pardon me,
Oh, I was
you
saying, did
too?
you? I didn't know that about you, that you had the business degree too. That's interesting. Like we all have like a set of skills or education training, and then we go into something different.
Yes, yes, and well, it's kind of a calling, and sometimes we have to get a
Oh
jolt
yeah.
to get us to do what we're supposed to do. And in my case, my father passed away, and people
I'm
said they
sorry.
thought they saw him in a building that he
Yep.
owned, and so we investigated it, and I was invited to go to some psychic classes, and I became a top student in it, and I had an affinity for it. And then one thing led to another, and just one career didn't pan out, and another career didn't pan out. So I wound up doing this, and this is where I landed
Yep.
and have stayed for over 30 years. So we have that in
Amazing.
common. And now, do you travel to other places besides Corpus Christi? I know you go to Houston, but today earlier you told me you were in San Antonio. Do you do your work there as well?
Oh yes, I do a lot of traveling between the major cities here in Texas. Like I try to do events, metaphysical fairs in Corpus Christi, San Antonio, Houston, Austin. I've even done one in Burbank last year. So I went to Burbank, California. So I'm kind of like expanding and trying to venture out to different cities, different states. That's on the outlook for the 2024. So I'm very excited with the things that are to come.
Well, very good, very good. So, what do you enjoy most about being a psychic medium?
I have to say, John, the thing that gives me the most pleasure is seeing the healing that takes place from this gift. When people begin to cry, I take no joy in that, but I know that it's impacted them. Or, if they don't cry, they give me a big hug or they say a thank you, that this actually gave them a lot of insight, that it was helpful. And that's what the whole gift, I believe, from my perspective as a psychic medium, we were given the gift to help heal the world, to elevate consciousness, to be a bridge and a gap between, to bridge the gap between the spiritual world, spiritual realm, and the physical earth that we're on. And so I really, really feel like a warm feeling inside and know that I'm doing good with my gift when I'm able to provide closure for people who, have yet are still wounded, or they're still dealing with grief, or they're still dealing with questions that they need answers to.
So, you would say that you validate them and that you kind of demonstrate the continuity of life, that we continue after the death process, and
Oh,
would you say that this helps
absolutely.
them with their grief?
Oh, absolutely. And sometimes the grieving process will still continue thereafter, we provide insight and healing for them. But I personally lost my mother in July, and it was the hardest thing. And I think that the ego self, my physical self here on earth, was wanting to be selfish at the time and hold on to her as much as I could. And I fought, and then understanding as the medium that I am. My mom also was a medium as well. She didn't do it publicly. She did not read people publicly. She was more of like of just having the gift and knowing of and speaking to spirit. She would see them. But when I lost her, I had to before she passed, I had to talk to her, just like I'm sure many listeners today, if they, some of them may have had someone that they loved, and in the last hours, I had to give my mom permission. I told her, I give you permission to cross over if you want to. to go to heaven, to go home. It's okay. I'm going to be okay. Don't worry about me. And I said that, and it was so hard, and I meant it so because I didn't want to see her in pain. I didn't want to see her suffering. And so I think that, even with that, like understanding and using the gift for good, it gives me a peace, and it helped me with the grieving process. I'm still grieving every day. I miss my mom. She was my best friend and confidant, but I know, and I'm happy because I know that she's doing things and helping me from the other side. And it's like, for all of you out there, if you don't, a lot of people, I guess, as a medium, and you can probably attest to this too, John, a lot of people come to us and they're like, well, I can't feel my loved one. I can't see them. I can't communicate with them. How do I know they're there? Trust me, they're there with us. They're always thinking of us. When you think of them, they're with you. Their soul's with you. When you listen to that song that y'all used to listen to, they're there with you. So, like my mom, I feel her always around me, and when I'm thinking of her, I find comfort. So it's a beautiful feeling. It really is.
It is. It is. It is. I know it's nice to know that our loved ones are there, and sometimes people don't realize that they're just standing next to them or just right there
Oh yeah.
over their shoulder or whatever. So
Mhm.
it is a good feeling knowing that we can bring them some happiness that their loved ones are alive and just in the spirit world. So, what advice would you give someone who's just starting out in this field? And how would you tell them to get started?
That's a good question, and thank you for asking that. I would have to say, if you have a spiritual gift and you want to do what John and I do, or you know, create your own mold, even if you're not identifying yourself as a psychic medium, but you're maybe a Reiki healer, or doing some form of like healing modalities, etc. I would say to be unapologetically you first and foremost. Do what you feel is the right thing for you to do, but also have thick skin, because I will say that the spiritual community is just like every other industry. There's a lot of competition. There's a lot of things that you will experience, and you have to really just believe in yourself. Don't get too much in your head about the future. Take it one day at a time. I feel like if you were given a gift, there's a reason for it. Use it for good always. And I will say that because there are people out there that use their gift for the not so good. But I feel like, don't be afraid to be unique. And I feel like for a lot of people, you have to push out of the barriers and the constraints that have been put upon you since childhood. And what I'm referring to is a lot of social conditioning, because a lot of people that are Christian feel like or any religious background, they feel like they cannot be a psychic or a medium, or they can't, you know, do spiritual work because of the religious constraints or the religious teachings that they have. But know that God is love, and God loves us all, and God makes no mistakes. And I firmly believe, I have come up a lot of I come up against a lot of religious people who didn't understand the gift, and I explained to them, not to get into religion too much, but because I respect everybody from no matter what nationality, religious beliefs, etc. But just try to understand that Jesus, when we look at him as a figure, I always say he was a medium himself. He could communicate with the Father, who was in spirit, right? He could heal the
Hmm.
sick, so he was a healer as well. So that's kind of how I position it to a lot of Christians or religious people, and I let them know that I firmly believe that this gift comes from God. It's not me. I take no credit for what I do. I'm very humble person. I know that if it wasn't for the divine power, I wouldn't be here. So I kind of like let people know it's okay to have your own set of beliefs and still believe in God, or whatever you want to call the divine source, etc. And integrate that into your patterns, but and
Hmm.
your teachings, your own. But I feel like your greatest teacher is going to be yourself with your gift. You have to believe in your gift. You have to believe in spirit, because you can read manuals and books all day. You can take courses, and you'll have teachers and mentors, and that all helps. But at the end of the day, it's your relationship with spirit and your relationship with your higher self that's going to guide you through this journey.
Now, would you say though that when you're doing readings and you experience doing your readings that you learn a little bit about yourself too?
I'm sorry, can you
You
repeat
think
that last part,
do
John?
you think you learn a little bit about yourself when you are doing readings?
Oh, absolutely. I feel like I'm continuously learning. I don't know everything. And I feel like on this journey, you're going to find life is about continuously being open to learning from the people that you read, from spirit, from other teachers like mentors, other psychics and mediums. We're going to learn a lot about ourselves. Wherever I always say that energy is always flowing and ebbing and flowing. It's always changing. It's always, we're always growing as individuals here.
Well, I agree with you. I believe it's kind of a part of our journey of self-discovery, and we find out more about ourselves, and we grow. Our perspectives
Oh, yeah.
change, and they broaden, and they get wider as time goes on. And it sounds like you're pretty much on the same path that I've been on, and you've done it in record time, very very quickly. So that's great.
Thank
And
you.
so maybe your mom will now be your guide as well, because moms are good about that.
I
And
think so.
so yeah, yeah. Well, because it sounds like she was a really good person, and that she was a wise person as well. So have you written any books or anything, or what's next for you? What do you think? Where do you think you're going with your work?
Thank you. Thank you so much for saying that about my mom. I really do truly believe that with all my heart and soul that she is my guide and helping me now. As far as like what's next for me, I have a lot of upcoming excited projects that I can't. There's some things I can't talk about, the things that involve like
Sure.
possibly like TV, etc. But one of the
Oh,
things that
wow.
I have done is written a book. It's called Starseed Footsteps. It's on Amazon, Barnes and Noble. It's on all the major bookstores. And I wrote this in 2018, right around maybe about. I started reading people professionally around 2014. So right
Mm,
around
mhm.
2018, 4 years after I got started, I felt like there were so many people coming to me with questions about how do you understand angel numbers and how do you
Yeah.
understand what happens to us when we pass. So I wrote this book, and it's available, and it kind of is like
Mm,
it's written in a blog format, but it breaks down different chapters. There's 44 chapters, I believe, and it breaks
wow.
down different topics so that it's user friendly and it kind of explains for people who are starting their spiritual journey and maybe need a
Yeah.
little guide as to understanding, like, hey, I'm not alone.
So
Like he has experienced
Raymond,
that too, and she's experienced that.
I don't want to interrupt you, but
I'm
we
sorry.
only have a couple minutes left. How can
Okay,
people find you
sure.
on the social networks? Time goes so fast, but
I
how
know.
can people
Well,
find
all of
you
my
on
social media
Facebook?
handles are at Psychic Medium Ray. You can visit my website, www.raymondguzman.net.
Oh,
And
great,
again, all of
good.
my social media handles are Psychic, at Psychic Medium Ray. So
Okay. Well, very good. Well, very good. Well, thank you so much for joining me today and being a part of our show. We got things off to a
thank
slow
you.
start, but boy, you really answered a lot of questions and covered a lot of ground. So thank you very much. We still have a couple of minutes left. Any final thoughts that you'd like to give? And I'll spend the last minute kind of wrapping things up. But do you have any final thoughts you'd like to share?
Absolutely. I just want to thank you first and foremost, and the radio network for being able to be on this show. I think it's fabulous what you're doing. Bringing people like myself, other spiritualists out, and giving them a platform and a beacon. I just, any listener out there that is kind of like still navigating their journey, don't give up. That's the biggest thing. If you have a dream, if you have a goal, no matter if it's to be in the spiritual community, et cetera, if it's realizing your business plans, never give up on your dreams. Always have a mentality and a vision.
Well, very good. Well, good advice. So thanks again. And I want to thank all of you for joining me today here on the Psychic Side on the A1R Psychic Radio Network. I, of course, want to thank my sponsor, Miracles of Joy, for sponsoring us again this month. And be sure to go to their website, miraclesofjoy.org, I believe. It might be .net. Check that out. I just type it in, it's there. So just go there and be sure to use their promo code PS0023, and that will get you a 25% discount on anything that you purchase there. So once again, thanks a lot for joining me. I'm John Cappello. Like me on Facebook, and I will be here next week here on the Psychic Side. So I look forward to seeing you then and talking to you then too. So take care. Bye-bye.